So I really want to come here and say ADA's broken out and it's in a fantastic new structure to the upside. However, I can't. So in this video, we're going to jump down into the world of Cardano's ADA, reviewing the price action, what's been going on, what has happened, and what I think this is going to lead to next. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you do happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe? You can always unsubscribe later if you wanted to. And of course, you know, if you haven't joined us in Discord, you're missing a trick. Check it out. Link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So check it out. Let's jump right down into the video. So Cardano's ADA paired up with USDT on the BitGet spot exchange, 1 hour time frame, of which, guys, if you're not on BitGet, affiliate link is in the description down below. What you're waiting for, do check it out. It's my go-to platform for all my leverage-based trading and 90 to 95% of my spot trading. I think it's a fantastic platform, and yeah, I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there either. And like I said, it's always great to have access to more exchanges, specifically during bullish times. It's always great to make sure you've got everything kind of figured out as to kind of what exchanges to use, what ones to avoid, and always have backup plans. So if you haven't signed up to BitGet, what you're waiting for, don't sleep on it. Link is in the description below. If you do use that affiliate link, you'll be eligible for up to $8,000 of different bonuses and rewards, depending on how much you deposit and use the platform. Yeah, so check it out, guys. I just, honestly, it's a good idea in my humble opinion. Not as a financial advisor, because I'm not one, just my opinion. I think don't sleep on that one. So look, here we can see we were talking about a 5-wave structured move to the downside yesterday, right? And this move to the downside, we were basically targeting out the 28.9 to 29.3, right? Then it was tracking a 4th wave movement to the upside. Now, yesterday we saw BTC have a break out to the upside, really big movements in Bitcoin. Now, ADA didn't really reflect that, okay? So ADA here, if I take the stochastic off and put the volume profiles on, and we can zoom out of this. Volume profiles are okay, but they didn't see that significant growth that Bitcoin saw yesterday. Although it did take a little bit of a push to the upside, it wasn't really anywhere near the same kind of thing. And I think it's important to kind of keep an eye on Bitcoin in relation to kind of price movements, because it doesn't look like Bitcoin's moved naturally, and therefore a lot of these other cryptocurrencies have moved upwards, but also quite, you know, lackluster in comparison. And so when we kind of reflect on that, it means that, yeah, things are not necessarily what they want to be. Yes, it broke out of our structure here, so we're not in this 5-wave pattern. That's okay, because people's behavior had changed. Okay, and that's the idea of what's Elliott wave theory tells us, right? People's behavior follows particular patterns of waves. And so if we have this break to the upside, it means that there's a behavior change, okay? It means that we're doing a 3-wave move, not a 5-wave move. And that's okay. That's why we have these hard and fast rules within those impulsive structures to know whether we are trending in a particular direction or not. And if you are trending in a direction where there's a bigger psychological play, okay? It's not about tracking the first 5-wave count. It's about tracking the 3rd or the 5th 5-wave count. So this one actually narrowly missed that. And so here we can see we had this bounce upwards. So we pull back, we bounce up, and well, we know what happens next, which is another pull to the downside. At the moment, we can see here that our structure for Cardano's ADA still remains in a bearish state of play, but it hasn't got a BOS to confirm it. That would happen at a later stage. Now, it's possible that this does change, and it's possible that this does break out. For example, this most recent pull to the downside here is actually held up quite well on the stochastic RSI. We're back down in the oversold area, and things are looking pretty reasonable. However, we also have to kind of consider that we potentially are coming towards the end of this move. Now, if I pull this in, we can see that we tapped on the 1-to-1 already. So it looks like we've finished our first structured move up here. So 1, 2, and 3, or A, B, and C. We come down, we're going to have to bounce up and then come down again into a minimum 3-wave pattern. Now, if I take this to a 15-minute just to check, we can see what's going on within here. So we can see here a pretty interesting 5-wave count, possibly just looking to finish that off now. Okay, so don't think this is done necessarily. And if we're starting a micro 5-wave count here, yeah, which I would expect us then to continue this move to the downside a little bit deeper. So we bounce up to move back down. Okay, so it looks like this one's coming to an end, because you can see a little 4 here down into the 5th. Looks like it's coming to an end, meaning that we can bounce right the way up, but we shouldn't breach that high. Okay, so if I bring this back to our hourly chart, B waves are very, very difficult, but for the most part, I don't think it's going to be overly too impactful to the upside. We're talking very small percentages, really. But we should not breach the high here. So what I'll do is I'll put a line here. In fact, I'm going to remove some of these other ones so we don't have too many. So 31.2100. That can't get broken if this is a correct count, which I do believe it is. So on that particular rationale and that thought pattern, we'll be looking for a potential 3-wave pattern here, like so. Okay, come down just a fraction deeper. I don't think it's going to be overly too much. We'll probably get rejected on the 200 EMA or something to that effect. Then come back down. Then I think ultimately all of this is going to get wrapped up as a kind of W, X, and Y, and we'll test these higher ranges before we break on down again at a later date. And I think that will be something to this effect, bringing us back down towards our gap down here. And again, I think completely by that point, filling out this fair value gap. We've done a good job so far of coming into this fair value gap, but it hasn't been filled out yet. So I suspect that that is something that is likely to occur. Let's see if I can get this snapped onto here. The fair value gap sits here. It sits basically between 28.9980 and 30.9606. Okay, so I suspect that that's kind of what the play is going to be here, but it's going to be quite a choppy one, taking us down there. And then, of course, this is going to set us up with a really nice break to the upside afterwards. So I think ultimately we're kind of progressing quite nicely to where we want to be going. It's going to take some time to kind of get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this green. There we go, so we don't have too much clashing and stuff going on. What I'll also do is just bring that down a little bit. There we go. So if I tidy this up a little bit, because I know it can be confusing, the immediate kind of thought process here is that we bounce up, okay, probably towards the 200 EMA, around 30.96, and then we drop back down. And depending on how high that B wave goes will depend on how low that C wave has to go, okay? And then I think we'll break upwards and we'll be testing the high up here, okay? And I'll go ahead and just put this on to here, that high being about 31.8757, okay? So for the most part, that's kind of where that sits. Now, if we take a look at this on the weekly time frame, nothing much has changed. We still remain bearish. We are below the 200 weekly EMA. We're below the 50 weekly EMA as well. We've got our trend line that we've been rejected from 4 times. So again, that's still looking bearish. I suspect that we're going to be testing the lower trend line. I know it's an unpopular opinion. People don't like to hear, but I do not think that the bear market low is in for Cardano yet. And you know, I think that's going to be a great opportunity for getting into Cardano's ADA. Now, I do hold a lot of Cardano. If it goes down to 15 cent, I will probably deploy more capital into it. If it doesn't quite reach as low as 15, I probably won't. This is simply because I'm quite heavy in my portfolio on Cardano already. And this isn't because I've been dollar cost averaging into it. It's because we do a lot of things with the Cardano network. We actually earn a pretty significant amount of ADA, right? And we just sit on that ADA. We don't do much with it. Apologies, guys. So I don't need to continue to put dry powder into more ADA, right? Because I just don't need to do that unless, of course, there's a good reason to do so. And I think 15 cent would be a really good reason to kind of dollar cost average it into more ADA. But if that doesn't happen, if we kind of just bounce it around 18, I probably won't. I'll focus on other projects and other areas of the portfolio that need to kind of get some growth into it, right? So I just wanted to kind of clear that up. This is in comments yesterday. A bit confused as to kind of why I think lower prices, but I wouldn't DCA. Why would I DCA in all these higher prices? And I haven't really done terribly too much DCAing into ADA since 2020, right? It's the fact that we use the technology and we basically earn ADA through various different channels. So it's not a case that we actually need to continue to put dry powder into ADA. It's the same with Harmony One, for example, that we earn Harmony One through the stake and pool and things like that. Findora, we do a stake and pool and we earn Findora FRA as well, but I am dollar cost averaging into, and we'll probably continue to do so whilst it's significantly cheaper than many other cryptocurrencies at the moment and so forth. But I think there's other areas of the portfolio that are kind of worth dollar cost averaging into. But if you haven't got a significant position in ADA, then and if I didn't have a significant position in ADA, I would be dollar cost averaging. All of these prices are, in my opinion, quite nice. And the second that we start coming down to kind of like 25 cent, it makes sense to be in that DCA mode. Specifically while we see good structure like this for bearish situations, and I referenced that that as a good structure, because I think the future of the technology of Cardano is incredibly important. And I've been through it many, many times before. Our structure for Cardano looks very, very strong across a multi-year period. If we just focus in on like the last kind of 12 months, then it's not going to look great, right? But if you zoom out, you can actually see this is a fantastic 3-wave pattern that is going to be taking us up to very nice, juicy highs at some point in the future, right? And so for the long-term play, it makes sense to be DCAing into these kind of positions at these lower prices. Now, obviously, I'm not a financial advice. I can't give anyone financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on how I kind of act on the data that I see and interpret within the charts and various other data points, such as total value locked and wallet counts and what's going on with the big money in the space and so forth, right? And so for the most part, it looks like a very good project. It's got some very good technology that's been built with future in mind, and it's much stronger now than it was ever before, right? Lots of people are building on the Cardano ecosystem, lots of total value locked, and I think there's a recipe for massive explosive price action in the next bullish market when demand comes in. And so it's great to see bearishness when you have such great technology like this, because it gives us the opportunity to make real life-changing sums of money through investment choices, right? And so there's lots of haters for Cardano, and I really can't understand it. It's illogical to me, unless, of course, you've been an overreacting emotional retail investor where you've kind of sold at the, bought at the top and sold at the bear market low points, for example, because you don't understand how to kind of read the charts and things like that. And in which case, I think it's education that's more the important metric here, rather than just saying, I didn't make money on this, so it must be a shitcoin. It must be a scam because I lost money personally, right? And that kind of stuff doesn't fly with me. There's responsibility and accountability to be made across the field in many different areas. This entire space, like the stock market space, is very similar to or can be kind of compared to a sum zero game, where essentially if you're making money, someone else is losing money, right? And that's the game that we're all playing in this space of cryptocurrency, right? If we're investing in cryptocurrency speculatively, not just for the use cases and things like that, then we have to kind of consider that if we make gains, someone else has made losses, right? And so it's an education thing more than anything else. If you've lost money, it doesn't necessarily mean that the project is a scam, unless of course it is a scam and it's rug pulled you or whatever. It's more of an education to understand how the space works and understand how you can make gains rather than losses and so forth, right? How do you win and how do others lose and so forth, right? So education is very, very important. And these are the kind of topics that we talk a lot about down in our Discord server, and obviously for our members over at membership.cheekycrypto.io. So if you're looking for more information on these kind of things, do make sure you join the Discord. And if you're looking for more as well from the crypto space, check out the memberships, also linked in the description down below. Guys, I think I'm going to wrap this video up right there, though. If you found it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, guys? I'll catch you all in the next one.
We are not financial advisors, and none of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.